Before we get into the video today, I just want to marvel at how big my arms actually are, and even my lefty's a big boy. But now let's get into today's video. So, look. I'm going to give my take on the Super Bowl because as of right now, I'm squeaky clean. You know, I'm not even smoking pot or drinking no more, and I have a job. I've always been realistic, and if I've done any substances other than pot and alcohol, they have been minor, you know. But I want to give my take on the Super Bowl and why I think that the Buffalo Bills would most likely have lost the game against the Eagles, and I will get into the Cheifs and what I thought of the Super Bowl and their whole season, and the same with Buffalo. Let's start with my team first, because the Kansas City Chiefs should not have won the first seed. I went to, except for the Jets because I was down in Florida with my father, except for the New York Jets, I went to every single Bills home game. I live right down the street from the stadium. Every home game. There was only one point in the entire Bills season that I thought we were going to either miss the playoffs or weren't going to make it past the wild card round. And that was the first two quarters of the Bills' first game of the season at home. Cardinals versus Bills. When the score at the half was 17-3, and we came back and won by 6, 34-28. In those first two quarters, though, and I actually, if you watch the video, it's all the way down my channel. If you watch the video, I actually walked out at the half. I walked out because I thought that the Buffalo Bills season was over right then and there. But alas, I'm sitting there heart pounding because I'm still a Bills fan. I'm still at home obsessing over it. And I watch us score the points on the Google. I kept refreshing the page. It's before I bought a NFL, Sunday ticket subscription. And watch us win that game. We went 1-0. And then what kept me watching the Bills games and going to them was week 2 when we, before injuring Tua, which, I don't wish injury on anybody, but and if I say anything like, bad, like Hail Satan and stuff like that, it's all shock. I don't mean that stuff. I haven't said it in a long time, but in a video I made, in a guitar video, you're going to hear me say it. I get delusional sometimes. Not delusional because Linda's watching this. I'm not delusional, but sometimes a little unrealistic because I'm not a full-out delusional person. I can think for myself, but Linda thinks otherwise. It doesn't matter what Linda thinks because she's going to jail. Anyways, I'll be persistent till this cunt's in jail. But when we were beating the Miami Dolphins, while Tua was still in the third, into the third quarter, right before Tua got injured, I think the score was like 27 or 24-10. We scored another TD at the end. This final score was 31-10, I think. It was good. And then when I purchased tickets to the second Bills game at home, the Jaguars versus Bills, and the game was over at the half. And we beat the Jags. When I walked out that stadium, it was to avoid the heavy traffic, which after I kept the stadium, I wound up not giving a fuck about. The score versus the Jaguars was 40-10. Right as I was walking out the stadium, I was expecting the game to be over. I heard a roar. And I knew, because right before we had left, Josh Allen had stepped out and they had brought in the backup. I think it was Trubisky. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky. And I heard the roar, and I knew we had scored another TD. I think it was on a run. I think we just ran it right up the Jaguars with our backup quarterback. That's incredible. So the final score is 47-10. After that, after we went 3-0, I got a little nervous when we lost those 2 games in a row, and we lost to the Ravens by 25 points. That was our biggest loss since I think we started winning the division in 2020. Biggest loss. The Texans, lost by a field goal. I've accepted because those happen. Them field goal losses, it happens. And then obviously we just kept winning. After the Kansas City game, because the Kansas City Chiefs were 9-0, I would have been so pissed if the Kansas City Chiefs had been 10-0 because off the Bills. And guess what? That was the only time that Patrick Mahomes lost in the regular season, because they lost to the Broncos, but that was with their backup, because they were able to rest their starters because the Chiefs got the first seed, and we'll get into that later. But I think the Buffalo Bills season was phenomenal. The wild card win, I was at all the Bills' home games in the regular season and in the playoffs. I watched the Broncos and the Ravens game. And Broncos, that was hilarious. When the Broncos scored on us in the beginning of the game, I'll admit my heart palpitated. But after we got up by I think it was 21-10, I knew the game was a wrap. I knew it too. The Ravens game gave me a fucking heart attack. When they lined up for that 2-point conversion, when the score was 25-27, which by the way was the final, and the Bills, after getting smacked in the booty, for lack of a better word, by the Ravens in the regular season, they almost beat us, but we beat them. I am so happy that the Buffalo Bills have beaten the Baltimore Ravens in recent years, now twice in the playoffs. It was great. When Mark Andrews dropped that 2-point conversion, I fucking screamed. I had lost my voice for two. I couldn't even scream during the championship game, which I watched on my phone. Fucking Chiefs. Because of how loud I screamed. I couldn't even scream. After they kicked the onside kick and the Bills got it back, I walked out. It was over. Ravens were on a timeout. They had one timeout left. That's right. With like a minute and 30 seconds left. And we won the divisional round. Now let me talk about the championship. Okay? Now, not many people are as analytical as I am, but some people still can come close. And there's a couple people out there. Obviously, there's always someone out there that's better than you. But if you look and watch, we're watching that game in its entirety when they panned the sidelines, the Chiefs sideline. People were saying black magic. I hate to say it, and I believe in God now. It legitimately looked like, based on just how their mannerisms were, like Andy Reid, the players, the coaching staff, it looked, and I'm not trying to sound delusional, it looked satanic. It looked like they had made a pact with the devil. But that's delusional. What I do know, especially when that ball was thrown, I forgot who Patty threw it to, but that first and goal situation, everyone knows about that. When the ball hit the ground, that was automatically should have been an incompletion. And that 4th and 1 run by the Bills, which would have put us up by enough. Because if you guys remember, they gave the ball back to the Chiefs. They went down and scored 2-point conversion and tied the game. Or either tied it. Yeah, they tied the game. That's right. Yeah, they did. The 4th and 5, Dalton Kincaid should have caught that. Yes, he should have. And if he had, we probably would have scored one that game. But I will say one thing, that without the refs, I think the Kansas City Chiefs would have lost that game anyways. Just so take how each player played and take the horrible calls like the 4th and inches, which he clearly got, and that 1st and goal the Kansas City got when a Bills defensive player, a Chiefs offensive player, both had possession of the ball, but regardless, it hit the ground. It was an incompletion. The ball hit the ground. And no one had possession. And they just immediately ruled it a Kansas City catch. Stupid. Now, that's that. Let's get into the Chiefs, okay? So, if we are looking at, if you were to say that the Kansas City Chiefs getting the first seed in the AFC was lucky, that would be an understatement. Because in the Ravens game, the Ravens had a touchdown, in my opinion, I think the only time a pass should be ruled out of bounds is if it's more than like maybe 4 inches, so like a quarter of a foot. But this man's foot was out of bounds, I swear to God, by probably like that much. But like where like this much of the white grass was probably leaning over onto his foot. And instead of the Ravens tying the game and probably winning in overtime, the Chiefs won that game by a score of 27-20. In the Bengals game, a penalty flew very late that ultimately gave the Chiefs the ball back. I think the score at that point was 23-25. Bengals were up, and the Chiefs brought down the field, and in the last seconds of the game, kicked a field goal to win by a point. And beat the Bengals. The Raiders, and this is all not in order, by the way, the Raiders had the ball and were working it down the field to get in the field goal position, and they fumbled the ball before being able to kick the field goal to win the game against the Chiefs. Extremely lucky. Bringing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into overtime, 24-24, and scoring for a final of 30-24, fortunate. Still talented, obviously. Don't get me wrong. It takes talent to throw a ball. I'm not that delusional. But still lucky, nonetheless. I think the luckiest break for them was when they blocked the Broncos' kick and won that game by a score of 19-17, I believe. When it would have been 20 Broncos, Chiefs 19. Because when I watched the way that kicker kicked the kicker initially, it looked like it would have went through if it hadn't been blocked. And again, it's good, it's a good load block, but still, it was a block, but it's still annoying as fuck. I think the Chiefs only had 3 or 4 games, maybe even 5, won by more than a possession. One game was won by 10. The Bills game, actually, we won that game by 9 points. So even if they had went down the field and went for a 2-point, they would have still been down by a point. So once Josh Allen got that first down on 4th and 5, once he scored, because he did that all in one motion on a 4th and 5, Josh scored, if everyone knows that. Was another technical 2-possession game. I know that the Chiefs did beat the Browns by 14. They beat another team by 19. The Steelers. They beat the Steelers by 19. I'll give them that. That was probably. I will say that Kansas City is the worst 15-2 team in Super Bowl era history, and it will be for a long time. Long time. The only win that I will give the Chiefs even partial credit for being good with, and not just squeaking away with a win, was against the Steelers when they beat the Steelers by 19, and the Browns was another decent one by 14. But the Chiefs, based on the way the Buffalo Bills played, Buffalo Bills, we know now, as of February 6th, that Josh Allen is and deserves the MVP. Josh Allen is the only quarterback in NFL history to pass, rush, and receive a touchdown all in one game, 49ers Bills. Josh Allen is the only quarterback to throw 3 touchdowns and run 3 touchdowns himself. So he scored all 6 touchdowns against the Rams. And the only reason we lost the Rams game was because of the muff punt. Because if that momentum had continued, obviously, with the butterfly effect, let's say the Bills hadn't had the muff punt, who knows how the game would have went. You know what I'm trying to say? But I would think we would have won that game. If you take that smartness out of it, and just subtract the muff punt, Bills would have won the Rams game. Beat the Lions by 6. And that was an offensive shootout on both sides of the ball. I would give both teams credit for that. The Lions were fucking on fire. Speaking of the Lions, the entire NFC North missed out on the first round. Packers lost to the Eagles. Vikings lost to the Rams. And technically, because Detroit had won their first game of the playoffs, they were done. The entire NFC North, except for one team, the Bears, made the playoffs, and that same division lost each of their first playoff games. That's fucking weird, but funny. I will say one thing about the 2024 NFL season, and I will get into the Super Bowl, how I think about the Super Bowl last. The 2024 NFL season had one of the most shocking things happen. What the Washington Commanders did with a rookie, Jaden Daniels, is incredible. Beyond incredible. The Washington Commanders entered into the playoffs with a wild card, meaning that their journey to the Super Bowl would not be at home from there on out. They beat the Buccaneers by 3 points and almost missed that field goal too. It would have been OT. That was their first playoff win against the same team. The last time the Commanders won in the playoffs, was in 2005 against the Buccaneers. So that was already an accomplishment. What nobody was expecting was, what I just aforementioned, was the Washington Commanders to spank the Detroit Lions in the divisional round in Detroit. They didn't fuck up as bad as the Chiefs did, but they kept it good with the Eagles too. The Commanders almost made the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback, and they were projected to miss the playoffs this year. In recent memory, it's one of the best, media role reversals where they took what the media said and did the exact opposite. It was incredible. And I still to this day I think ever since that Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary back in the early 2010s, the best Hail Mary was Jaden Daniels' Hail Mary that was deflected and caught for a touchdown for the Commanders to beat the Bears in the last seconds of the game. It's on my YouTube channel. That's how legendary I thought that was. It was fucking insane. It was just the weirdest season. But Josh Allen, back to what I was saying, Josh Allen and the Bills set records this year. Josh Allen set the 6 touchdown himself record, the passing, receiving, and rushing touchdown record. And the Bills have also set another NFL record. If you haven't seen it already, including the playoffs, which is good for the playoffs too. Since, let's see, so 12 and minus 3 games is 9. So that means ever since week 8 or 9 of the 2024 NFL season, including all the way up till they lost to the Chiefs in the championship, the Buffalo Bills set an NFL record for 12 straight games with not a single turnover. No strip sacks, no fumbles, no picks, nothing. Because that muffed punt with the Rams didn't count because that was the special teams. No turnovers. 12 games is the NFL record. The Bills set another record. The only NFL team in NFL history to beat 2 15-2 teams. Lions and Chiefs. That's incredible. And we lost by a field goal to the Kansas City Chiefs. Do I think Patrick Mahomes sucks? No. Patrick Mahomes, if nobody saw in the preseason against the Detroit Lions, threw a behind-the-back pass, and it was actually revealed that this behind-the-back pass was just him taking out his frustration because Travis Kelce had run the wrong route. Well, this same person he was pissed at, Kelce, Patrick Mahomes tosses the ball behind his back, and Kelce snags it. And this is a legal play in the NFL, technically. In the preseason, though. And he runs it for a first down, and they gain the first down by like a yard. The fact that Patrick Mahomes threw a behind-the-back pass in the NFL, and it was a first down, it's crazy. I'll give Patrick his 3 Super Bowl rings. And if people hate the Chiefs, I hate them too. But you gotta respect them, kind of, for not winning a Super Bowl for 50 years and then tacking 3 on. I can agree that it's enough, and we can all collectively stop them and give the Bills at least. And there's this dude, his name is Tyler Tabachia, hates the Bills. I'll say this, and I'll say this boldly. This is bold. I'm a Bills fan saying this. Buffalo, people are from Buffalo on my channel. I do not want to see any AFC East team win the Super Bowl till the Bills win at least one. Because the day the Bills win the Super Bowl, I will download the highlight video onto my phone, and every day when I take my lunch from work or my business or however far I am in life, I'm going to watch that game every day and cackle. I don't care which NFC team it is that loses. But one thing I will say, and this is how badly I just want Buffalo to have one Super Bowl, that I don't give a fuck, except for the Patriots. Patriots, if they ever win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, I will be pissed. But if the Jets or Dolphins win a Super Bowl after the Bills do, and this is where Tyler's a bastard, I don't care. I want the Dolphins to win another Super Bowl, but not until Buffalo does. Because of what the Patriots did. But we'll have to see. Thank God for Josh Allen, though. Because he's not going to leave this team until he wins a Super Bowl. And he's a good leader, so Josh Allen is one of the best people I think I've ever seen emerge in recent history. I don't give a fuck about Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift. I don't give a fuck about none of this trendy shit. I think Josh Allen is one of the most elite people, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, to come out of the 2020s as a famous person, and he's our quarterback. He's a fucking G. Not to mention an elite athlete. He's elite. Now that I did all that rambling because the season's over and I'm working a job now, so I don't got time for that shit no more, I am going to comment on what I thought about the Super Bowl. But regardless, the Chiefs should not have gotten even to the Super Bowl or have stolen the first seed. That game should not have ran through Arrowhead. We're going to go from front to start to finish, quite obviously. Eagles get the ball first, 3 and out. It was nice. Kansas City, 3 and outs. Score still 0-0. Kind of funny. Eagles get the ball back, and Jalen Hurts throws a pick near the end zone. 0-0. Chiefs, I think, I can't remember which drive it was. All I know is that this might be the only time this has happened in NFL history. It may have happened once before. But Patrick Mahomes managed to get sacked 2 times in a row, each starting on first down, and on the third down of that drive, threw a pick, and he did it twice. But I think this was the first time this happened in this game. Patrick Mahomes gets sacked 2 times, and when he goes for it, or not goes for it, but, it's not going for it because that's on fourth down, but on 3rd and 16, he hikes the ball and throws a pick to a rookie. I think he was a rookie. Forgot his name, but he was a Caucasian Eagles defensive player, and his birthday was that day, and it was his first. Oh yeah, that's right. It was his first NFL touchdown, and it was on his birthday, and it was in the Super Bowl. This dude picks off Patrick Mahomes and runs it back for 7. Well, for 6, but it turned out to be 7. The Eagles, the Chiefs give the ball back. I think the Chiefs fumble, or 3 and out. And Hurts makes it down the field enough to make the score 10-0. The Chiefs get the ball where Patrick Mahomes, when he snaps the ball, is in the end zone, their own territory, in the Super Bowl. The first play of that drive, on like the second, on the 2-yard line, Patrick Mahomes throws a pick and puts the Eagles, who had just turned the ball over. I can't remember if they turned the ball over. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I watched the highlights. I can't remember if they. I'm not sure if they turned the ball over or if they 3 and out it, or if they turned it over on downs. I'm not sure, but regardless, I know the Eagles get the ball right back, and they turn that pick in the red zone to another 6 points. So now score 17-0. Before the half, I remember this part, the Eagles score yet again, and now it's 24-0. Patrick Mahomes hikes the ball when they get it back with like 30 seconds left on the clock in the half, and throws it to Cook. I remember the receiver. It was Cook. And he was wide open to the point where if he had caught it, and yes, he dropped it, obviously. If you don't know, yes, Cook dropped this ball. Think about how bad that is. You are in the Super Bowl. You are down by 24 points, and you have not scored once. And your quarterback throws to you, and you are wide open to the point where if you catch this ball, you're gone. And there's like 15 seconds left in the half, and now you're at least not only down by 17 and can come back because you get the ball at the end of the half because the Eagles had the ball first. You could actually make a comeback, and you drop a wide open pass. The only good dart that Patty throws up until they start scoring at the end of the game because they're scoring now for stats at that point. Embarrassing. Chiefs get the ball and do nothing with it. In fact, the Chiefs do nothing with the opportunities they are given. And the Eagles, by the time at the end of the third quarter rolls around, it's like the very end of the third quarter, the score is now 37-0. Chiefs score and fuck up a 2-point conversion. Now it's 37-6. The Eagles go back down and kick a field goal. And that was the end of the Super Bowl. That brought them into the fourth quarter. And clearly, since the final score is 22, they made their last 2-point conversions. Too little, too late. Now, I'm going to say one thing. People are saying black magic. I'm not 100%, and no one can really be. Unless it is actual legit evidence that they were practicing witchcraft and black magic and shit and voodoo in the locker rooms. But I will say one thing. I'm highly convinced it was. And one thing about evil is, and I know this because I was, up until my mom passed, I was not a Satanist, but I was an atheist. And I think the reason the Chiefs lost the way that they did was because, sorry, my window's open. I heard knocking at the door, and my window is open on this side, so I do not want no one sticking a knife in it and hitting me. But I do think that the reason they lost is because they were practicing black magic, and evil, I know this, now that turned to God, never prevails. It actually, that's what the point of evil, that's the point of the devil. It mimics an easier way out, but ultimately it's God that wins at the end, and it's the evil that fails. And that's how evil gets a lot of people, because it's a, to go to heaven, it's a longer process, but more worth it. But a lot of people are too mentally gone to realize that that little amount that you get each time with the evil eventually will taper off, and now the evil's got you, even through all them hardships and until eternity. But with God, it takes a while to build a relationship, but if you have the patience, you're good for eternity. It's kind of cool. But my opinion on the Super Bowl, probably since the 49ers, I forgot which team they shut out, but it was back in the late 80s. Oh yeah, when the 49ers destroyed, I think it was the Broncos in the late 80s. I think up until this last Super Bowl, that was the worst Super Bowl and the highest scoring. It still is, I think, but the worst Super Bowl, and I'm going to end this in 30 minutes, in my opinion, is the one that just happened. The Eagles and Chiefs. And what's even crazier, before I end this, is besides the Bucs and the Chiefs were still there, so it's even more annoying. Basically, the only Super Bowl in the last 5-6 years that was fun to watch was the Bengals-Rams Super Bowl. And watching Tom Brady get his 7th ring was annoying, but still legendary, and you can't deny it was legendary regardless. We have had, in the last 6 years, we have had 2 Super Bowl repeats. We had the 49ers and Chiefs repeat with the same outcome in both. And then we had the Eagles and Chiefs repeat. Thank God the Chiefs didn't repeat. So, that's my take on all that. And hopefully, Buffalo will win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I sure hope. Go Bills.